Hello, friends. I would just like to apologize up front that my audio had a bit of an issue for the first 3 or 4 minutes of this podcast, but it gets fixed. So if you dive in and are like, wow, I can't listen to Kyle, just wait a bit. It'll be fine. Thank you. This is all normal. Thank you, Talking Wolf. We're entering our flop era.
Shit's bleak out here. All right.
18 plus, who wants to get milked?
It's kind of quality we have here. Debate this.
I need the edge. I need what the raw, unfiltered internet can bring you.
This is probably only going to be the third or fourth dumbest thing I've said today.
That's for nobody.
Just out there raw dogging the internet.
Way more hog than I expected.
It's about as much hog as I anticipated.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Here comes the cow. Here comes the cow.
All right, let's get this over with so we can play Magic. Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and, oh honey, you think Magic the Gathering is expensive? Let me introduce you to my Lord and Savior, Plastic Crack.
Oh, he brought props.
Yes,
props.
Props for the audio medium.
I'm assuming those are sealed Warhammer
it's a stack of
minifigs.
Warhammer minis, both sealed and unsealed, that's correct.
Andrew, I have a question.
How am I doing? Not great.
No, I was gonna leave that
We're gonna
rock
let that on the floor. Yeah, sure.
unturned. It similar to how we occasionally will print off proxies of Magic cards to use. Mm-hmm. Does anyone like 3D print?
Oh yeah,
their minifigs?
Very much a thing.
Okay. Cool.
Very, very much a thing.
Follow up to Kyle's question. Much like perverts in the Magic community will proxy cards that are tough to look at, do people 3D print minis that are tough to look at?
Unsanctioned, horny minis?
I'll send you some YouTube videos.
You don't have to.
That'll change your algorithm.
It'll do something. So back in 2023, a whole ass 2.5 years ago, Todd told us, and I quote, "Warhammer is a hole I can just fall into and die," unquote. And so it's from that hole I emerge now like a phoenix from the ashes.
A beautiful butterfly.
Beautiful butterfly. To bring you all back in with me to that pit, to the proverbial pit that is the lore of Warhammer 40K. Turns out I didn't even need a divorce to get to go whole hog into this property. It literally only took that very same flavor text and a couple mini painting classes before I found myself with the stack of boxes of Warhammer minis that I showed you earlier, about a half dozen 40K games downloaded on Steam, and upwards of 15 40K books saved on my iPad.
Oh, Andrew.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of my bosses at my previous job, an Otterbein alum who we all know and have.
You don't want to dox on this.
Who I don't want to dox, but we all know and
say
have,
his name, and Todd may or may not believe it.
Have opinions about. All he would do when he was traveling for work is listen to 40K audiobooks. Just mainline 40K audiobooks.
Yeah. That's crazy work. That
is
really
an energy.
something.
Yeah.
The thing is, they're not the best pieces of fiction.
and he openly admitted that.
Yeah,
he said it was very much a when I'm especially traveling for work, not always super paying attention. This is great.
It's
to have there.
If you want the dulcet tones of the inner workings of got it. Yep. Yeah. Of the inner workings of grimdark space, it's there for you. Yeah. So why are we doing this? Well, I thought it would be a good time to go back to the very grimdark future of Warhammer, and specifically talk about the most pivotal point in the franchise's very long and deep history, the moment in time called the Horus Heresy. Before we jump in, I do want to note this episode was not commissioned by Patreon. This is coming from the dome, baby.
This is just Andrew's
calls coming from inside of the house.
This is right. Andrew's good time flavor text.
That's right. Now, that all being said, I am going to skim over a lot today. This is mostly just yada yadas because my God, there's so much in Warhammer. And again, we've done an episode on it, and
it's infinite. It's infinite. I think isn't
infinite.
one of the bits is that like it's in the infinite universe, and so all of the stories can be true. And
everything is
canonized.
Everything is canon and can be canon. So hey, if you're interested in more Warhammer or want to hear us talk about literally anything else that you may be curious about, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/debatethiscast. But for now, joining me today, my brothers in arms who are all absolutely sworn to the Emperor and would never, ever consider betraying him. Kyle, all is dust Harper. Todd, children of the Emperor, death to his foes, Thomas. And Matt, blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne, Cole.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. So, we're talking 40K. We've all established a baseline. So instead of doing the around the horn, I just want to know where each of y'all have been with this property since we last talked about it.
I was not on the last Warhammer 40K flavor text, so I'm where I was previously, which is
0?
Not 0, but only what I've absorbed through osmosis by being online in nerd spaces. Yeah,
fair.
Yeah, Warhammer has remained at arm's length for me.
More out of the sanctity of his relationship and sanity.
I continue to think that Warhammer is a really awesome thing that I don't really have a good way to engage with.
Yeah.
Because painting minis is never going to be for me, and reading large novelizations is never going to be for me.
Sure.
And I think that those two things really limit my ability to partake in Warhammer. But if this Henry Cavill show ever gets off the ground, I'm stoked about it. It's been really cool to watch you paint minis and I hear about the times you've played a couple of times. And one of the places I buy a lot of Magic cards sells a lot of Warhammer stuff, and that's always
it's fun to look
cool
at.
Yeah. See, both those things are or could be for me. I also just know an abyss that will stare back when I see one. And
and it won't flinch, Kyle.
I will blink long before it does. Yeah.
Much like the demon of change and fate, Zinch, you would get lost into the warp, into the abyss, and you'd never return.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you say, man.
I think since doing the flavor text 2 years ago, which is bananas, I consumed a lot of Warhammer content for a while. 40K in 40 minutes is probably still one of the best ways to just get a little taste of Warhammer, the game, the table.
I think the best
game.
Comparison of 40K to 40 minutes, it's the command zone of 40K.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. They do a really good job if you want to see the mechanics and not just watch people roll dice for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Kind of speed it along. There are some podcasts that I listened to. I played the Rogue Trader game for about 20 hours. And
we've both played about, I'd say about the same. Chapter 1, right?
Yeah, full admission, it just got a little too crunchy for me.
It's tough,
And that's someone who grew up playing D&D 3, edition 3. I like crunchy TTRPGs, but it was a little too crunchy. And since then, did all those things for a while. Also, if you're looking to get a good taste of Warhammer, on Amazon, I think it is, the Secret Level series, they have one short for Warhammer that just really gets it. I also played.
You can watch it after you finish Melania.
Oh,
Kyle.
No.
Damn.
Oh no. That'll be one more person that's watched it, bringing the grand total to 5. I also played the the over the back Gears of War style game that came out not too long ago.
The
Space Helldivers?
Space Marine 2.
Oh, okay.
Space Marine 2. Yeah, I played that for a little bit and really enjoyed it.
Fine.
But then it got really repetitive was the problem.
It's Gears of Warhammer.
Gears of Warhammer.
Gears of Warhammer is really good.
But yeah, so love the universe, think the content's really fun. Since I grew up playing Heroescape, which is just different Warhammer for children, this is firmly in my lane, and I'm glad, much like Matt and Kyle, to keep it at arm's length for fear of what it would do to me.
Although rumor has it that at the end of February, it's gonna be closer than arm's length for some of us.
Yeah, someone's building some bullshit. So
I'm glad to let Andrew touch the orb because I dare ponder upon it.
I'm getting my greasy paws all over that Palantir, baby. So I mean, I've talked about this on the show at length, but since we did the flavor text, a shared friend of ours, another friend of the show who we're not going to dox, got me into it, and we played a couple times, and I did some mini painting classes and yada yada yada. Now I have a fully staffed or fully scoped Eldari army, which is the space elves, which is very fun. I'm very bad at the game because I'm bad at rolling dice, but it's a fun time.
You have to be good at rolling dice. Well,
you have to be really good at rolling dice, which like you and me, Kyle, are just out. We can't play this game. We're not allowed. So, but and I've just like gone whole hog into the lore. I mean, there is so much YouTube content about Warhammer, unsurprisingly. So it's just it's very easy to like just go down in the pits and never return, so to speak.
It's kind of like this is relevant because it's relevant in pop culture. It's kind of like Fallout in that way, where there is just an endless well of content.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just quickly catch up. Back when we last covered Warhammer 40K, Todd so graciously led us through an overview of the setting, the players, the major factions, and kind of the whole scene of the 41st Millennium for the first time. We touched on the likes of the Imperium of Mankind and their God King's corpse sitting on his golden throne / coffin, if you remember that. We also learned about the warp, which is this sort of intangible plane of malevolent psychic energy that people can tap into to cast space magic, and more importantly, can use as like kind of wormholes to traverse the universe faster than light. Now, the warp's powers are immense and unfathomable, partially due to the forces of the chaos demons who are birthed from the collective psychic energy and the general bad vibes of the universe. For Kyle, it's basically the Ghostbusters 2 of parallel dimension. It's just bad vibes.
Isn't it like isn't Event Horizon the movie like Warhammer? Isn't that Warhammer 40K?
I don't know Event Horizon.
I don't know.
That would be really interesting to me if it is. Those two things seem unrelated in my head, but
I mean,
maybe I'm wrong.
That's something I've heard.
It's widely considered by fans as an unofficial stealth prequel
for
to the
Warhammer 40K
universe.
Influenced the story. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah,
I know things.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is yes, I guess.
10 points to Kyle.
Nailed it. So it's like Event Horizon for my Event Horizon heads in the chat.
For fans of bad 90s horror movies.
Event Horizon.
Funny.
So there are 4 gods of chaos, all who come from the Imperium, which is the name given for this kind of wild plane of existence, the Upside Down, if you will. There's Khorne, Khorne, the chaos. I know.
Sorry, you weren't here to make that joke the first time, but now you get
I get to make it's mine. It's mine now.
Khorne is the chaos god of war, murder, and rage. You've got Nurgle, the chaos god of death, disease, and decay. You've got Tzeentch, the chaos god of change, fate, and sorcery. And then finally, Slaanesh, the chaos god of pleasure, desire, and excess.
Hell yeah.
There's like half of those names I have pronounced different every time.
Oh, yeah.
Tzeentch, sometimes you get a little T at the beginning. It's there, but sometimes you get it. And Slaanesh or Slaanesh, never the same. Why you got all those A's in there?
There's one too many vowels, that's for sure.
I'll be so honest. The only one of these I remembered is Nurgle.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, because it's objectively the easiest one to say and the most pleasing to the mouth.
Easier than corn?
Corn.
Well, but like if you're just reading it, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's more room for variation.
There's less silent silent letters in.
I'll give you
Nurgle.
that.
Yes,
I'll give you that.
Not none, but less.
Much like Event Horizon is a stealth prequel to Warhammer, that H in Khorne is a stealth letter there.
So today we're going to focus on the history of the Imperium of Man. most notably the period of time known as the Horus Heresy. Now, this is about 11,000 years before the events of 40K, the actual tabletop game 40K. So this is 30K. And this
good.
Yeah. So this time is probably the single most defining point in the history of the rise and subsequent fall of the human race in the canon. This period of time is so popular and documented that Games Workshop created an entire spin-off tabletop game called Warhammer: The Horus Heresy. Now,
that's different than just the Warhammer you play. You would need to buy an entirely different set of minifigs to play that.
You bet.
Oh no,
It's okay.
It's not
It's
like
a prequel.
TTRPG. It's still mini. Oh,
It's a prequel game. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now we're not going to talk.
Can I just?
Yeah.
I wanted to get this out since we started, and Horton, here's a heresy. Okay, thanks.
Horus, here's a heresy.
Horus Here's a Heresy.
Yeah, we all got
or
there.
well,
Yeah.
you know,
Really,
That's good.
really gave up a good end of the podcast middle name, but
Kyle, I'm not going to remember that in 2 hours. There's no way.
He needed to
There's
get off his
absolutely
chest.
no way.
Okay, so let's get to this particular period of time. So we're going to set up. So by 14,000 AD, the Warhammer canon kind of collects years in groups of millennia. So this is M15, or the 15th millennium of humanity. So again, the far-flung future, right? The human race is propelled into a period of galactic supremacy following their discovery of the warp. We're in Star Trek world. There's utopia. Humans are expanding the galaxy and conquering, colonizing, yada, yada, yada. Not only that, humans have an innate sensitivity to the energy of the warp, meaning a lot of humans have developed at this point psychic abilities. So space magic. Everybody loves good space magic.
love space magic.
whole thing.
Yeah.
So humanity is traveling the galaxies. Entire star systems are being settled. Colonies are being enacted by day. Humanity is spreading like wildfire. And with rapidly growing technology made possible by all these new discoveries, terraforming becomes commonplace. Settlers are building entire civilizations with the help of standard template constructs, which are these really cool, like 3D printed fabricators that are powered by tech, by AI tech. So it's basically like you plop this machine and an AI says, here's everything that you need to build a planet, and it builds it for you.
Giving AI's fabricator, always a good idea.
Always a good idea.
Never goes wrong for anyone.
Yeah. And as we learn in the 40K universe, nothing ever goes wrong.
Nothing ever goes wrong.
Now, for 11,000 years, humanity would continue to prosper, all thanks to these discoveries of the warp. So that takes us to about 25,000 AD or M25. And then one day, the warp came for payment. So we talked about a little this in the original Warhammer episode, but far across the galaxy, you have the ancient Eldari Empire. These are the space elves. The Eldari are this like ancient race whose very own age of prosperity like dates way back to before like the discovery of man. And at this point, the Eldari have declined steadily. Their civilization has fallen to debauchery of all kinds. Now, basically, the Eldari had conquered the stars, had achieved near immortality, and had nowhere else to go. So they got super bored, and they just started doing heinous, fucked up shit just so that they could like feel something. So
Feels right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you know,
I
like
mean-
prolific American American alternative rock band, the Goo Goo Dolls said, "You bleed just to know you're alive."
you bleed just so you're
bam!
alive.
There we go. This is an Iris reference.
Andrew, is
It's really
this whole property some kind of extended metaphor for a dying empire that's doesn't know how to expand anymore or
Weird.
something?
Old British people would never write something so sardonic. So we find the Eldari just like, I mean, like, they don't get into the things that the Eldari were doing because they're so depraved. Like, obviously slavery, obviously gross sex stuff, like
Pedophile
everything.
islands. Yeah.
Pedophile, Elon Musk's pedophile island that he wasn't invited to. the like. And this would continue for 5,000 years. Now, over the course of time, again, let me explain. The warp is a void that reflects back what is in the material world. So basically, like, the Eldari doing all this fucked up shit kind of like grew and grew and grew the bad juju in the warp because of their like sensitivity connection to the psychic connection to the warp. So the warp became more and more fucked up and then kind of reflected back in the material world. And across for 5,000 years, that would iterate in the form of warp storms. And these warp storms would appear all across the Milky Way galaxy. This would then prevent any travel through the warp by the humans. So basically what happened was by 25,000 AD, humans had spread across the Milky Way galaxy and found themselves all instantaneously cut off from each other colony. They were no longer able to travel through the warp. You can imagine if every single highway was immediately shut down, right? Like that's the story of Death Stranding. That's like kind of.
Is that really the story of Death Stranding?
It's a little bit more complicated than that.
Isn't there water that moves time backwards?
Yeah, no, your mom's the president. But that's basically it. But that's basically it.
Okay.
Also,
Also a package delivery sim.
But the idea being like you have all these disparate colonies that are now completely cut off from each other, who are obviously relying on, each other for like resources and food and all these things. So this plunged humanity into a period of darkness called the Age of Strife. And for the next 5,000 years, we went from like humans in this like period of enlightenment to just like each planet, each colony turning and de-evolving into like roving gangs of survivors, basically.
Hell yeah.
By M30, the collected chaos gathering from all of the fucked up shit the Eldari were doing finally like exploded and created like supernovaed and birthed a new chaos god, Slaanesh, or Slaanesh, if it please the court. The Eldari call Slaanesh she who thirsts, which is irrelevant, but is dope as hell.
Yeah.
So this was the official discovery of the chaos god Slaanesh.
I do love that effectively this entire race just being absolute heathens birthed a chaos god.
Yep. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It rules.
And terrifying, but very cool. So Slaanesh's emergence set across this massive explosion across all of warp space, centered on the Eldari homeworld. The Eldari homeworld instantly obliterated. Nobody lived. And everybody who died was basically like sucked into Slaanesh and became mindless like slaves, like immortal slaves to Slaanesh. And that's the Drukhari, which we're not going to talk about today. Those are the Dark Eldar.
Didn't he used to host Whose Line Is It Anyway?
That's really good.
That's pretty funny.
Had a show shot in Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good joke. So, but what that meant for the humans was the warp storms ended. So all of a sudden, humanity could now begin to rebuild. So where the Eldari died off in an instant, humanity was given another chance. And this rebuilding would be made possible by one figure. A mysterious man with godlike strength and unbelievable psychic abilities one day emerged on Terra, Earth, and began to unite the huddled masses and warring tribes under his banner through a series of battles known as the Unification Wars. This, the most important character in all of Warhammer 40k, is the Emperor of Mankind. And we're going to take a minute and flip over to the Imager link. Those of you listening at home, please go to the Imager link and follow along on your own mobile devices. So
Park
image
your car,
one.
pull off the highway. Look at this beautiful
Those are the
propagandized golden man.
That's right. Because it wouldn't be a flavor text without Jesus allegory. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the Emperor of Mankind in all his golden glory.
He sure looks like someone called the Emperor of Mankind.
He sure does.
And I'm sure this is the figure of him that we know and love and will see throughout the entirety of
He will. This will never
Exactly.
looks incorruptible to me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it the giant golden gauntlet with sharp talons looking to close? Is that what did it for you, Kyle?
The halo and flaming sword, actually.
Yeah.
His terrible swift sword.
Perfect.
So, as important a figure as he is, not much is known to this day about his origins, i.e. Games Workshop nor any other lore master has ever gone out and said, what the hell the Emperor of Mankind is. It's so much better if we don't know.
Absolutely.
All we do know is that he is a rare species of human known as a perpetual, which is basically superhuman immortal. Are there other perpetuals? Where did they come from? But he's a perpetual. That's all you need to know. So one way that the Emperor was able to achieve such a sweeping victory was his genetically enhanced super soldier army known as the Legionnaires Astartes, or the Legionnaires Astartes, or the Space Marines. And Image 2 is kind of the proto 31,000 version of the Space Marine.
Why'd they have to do his arms like that? That's cruel.
They look like old Cylons from the original Battlestar Galactica.
They sure do.
Yeah.
They're just kind of big, doofy tin cans, and I love them so much. This is like where it's good to remember the silliness that is Warhammer. Warhammer is very grimdark, but Warhammer is also very satirical.
It's very satirical, which makes...
And it's silly and over the top.
Yeah, which makes all the people who are comparing our current administration to these guys favorably awful and dumb
Seem like
and bad.
Power nerds.
Yeah.
So basically, the Emperor of Mankind unites the people of Terra. And then he set out to enact a treaty with the people of Mars, who at the time, Mars was also cut off, created this basically isolationist cult worshipping machines. They kind of created a sect of cultists and tech priests, all worshiping their machine god that they call the Omnissiah. And Image 3 is of the Adeptus Mechanicus, or who would later become the Adeptus Mechanicus. These are all humans who have given themselves gnarly fucking tech implants or cybernetic implants and are basically at least 40 to 50% cybernetic. But they're your rogues, they're your tech enabled characters in the canon.
Okay.
And they're dope as hell.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So with these allies, the Emperor began to realize his vision, a united human race under one banner that would be known as the Imperium of Man. Now, after securing Terra and the nearby planets in the Sol system, it was time for the Imperium to reach out to all of the fractured colonies. Because again, remember, you've got all of these just disparate colonies across the galaxy, and it's been 5,000 years. So we don't even know where these people are, right? A lot of information and technology has disappeared at this point. So the Emperor is basically it's time to unite the human race, and we're just going to go out there and find people. And this would be basically setting in motion the plans for his Great Crusade, which was this galactic scale recolonization, essentially. There it is. Uniting all these disparate tribes of humanity, whether they wanted to or not. Because again, It's been 5,000 years.
It's a crusade.
And it's a crusade.
Mm-hmm.
To ensure he would have leaders fit to carry out his vision, the Emperor led the creation of 20 officers who were all genetically bred with his perpetual, capital P, genetic code, meaning each one of them would be this sort of superhuman, sub-immortal demigod. And each one of these Primarchs, as they were called, would go on to lead one of the chapters of the ever-growing Astartes army. Unfortunately for the Emperor, something yada yada chaos gods, there was an anomaly in the warp. That anomaly swallowed all of the Primarchs in their infant bodies and scattered them across the galaxy.
Oh, my boy!
My boys!
Father help!
Father hell!
Now, the Emperor was devastated at the loss, but he moved on. He moved on with his plans for the Great Crusade. One thing you have to know about Space Marines and pretty much population at this point is most of the humans are bred in a lab at this point,
it's not
specifically
good.
Space Marines. Yeah, it's bad.
Whole lot of eugenics going on right
A
now.
lot of
Yeah.
eugenics.
Yeah.
a whole lot of eugenics. You're gonna get little bits of like the Spartan 1 program, like
Yeah,
children.
keep remembering that.
Yeah, children. Well, you keep going, and I'll
Space.
Yep.
I mean, Space Marines are not birthed; they are birthed naturally. They are bred.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is why there's so goddamn many of them. Now, what's interesting about this though is the Emperor used specific genetic codes. So he kind of used his genetic code to create the Primarchs, and then he took the gene codes of each of the Primarchs and used that to create these different legions within the Astartes. That was done very intentional because he didn't want there to be one unified group of Space Marines. He wanted differing opinions and differing strengths and skill sets. So, and he wanted it so that the people leading these armies would be the most fit to do it. So basically there are 20 legions, actually 18 legions that all have a different genetic code that ladder up to their respective Primarch. And they all embody that Primarch's like thing, basically. The reason why we went down from 20 to 18 is 2 of them died and no one has ever written about it. And every source says redacted. So don't ask about the missing 2 Primarchs. They don't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun little thing for them to maybe do something with. I don't know.
It's a fun way to leave the door open and like you'll never guess what we found in 15th edition or whatever.
Yeah.
So Image 4 is another propaganda. There's a lot of propaganda here. Image 4 is of the 18 Space Marine chapters. It's just the same, basically the same doofy looking Space Marine with a different color piece of armor,
different paint and accessories.
And it's important to note
season of the battle pass right there.
each season's different skins. Now it's important to note the history of Warhammer. Again, right now in Warhammer 10th edition, there are these like very disparate types of armies. You've got Xenos, you've got like the Necron and the Tau, and you've got like Chaos Demons. Back when Warhammer started, it was literally the Space Marines and the Chaos Marines. And it was just like, pick your color of faction of Space Marine, right?
Interesting.
That's the history of this. That's where this kind of comes from is there are Space Marines, but there's not just like one sect of Space Marines. They all have different chapters. And interestingly enough, the one that everybody thinks of, the blue ones, those are Ultramarines.
Okay. And
Sorry, go ahead,
do
Kyle.
these each have their own different like this one gets advantage on certain rolls, and this one can
Good question.
move space further and stuff?
The answer to that is both yes and no, because if you were to ask that 5 years ago, the answer would be you just have Space Marines and Chaos Marines, and they do different things. But those are basically just 2 armies.
But otherwise,
Now,
it's just colors.
They've
Now
created
it's-
since splinter groups. So within Chaos, there are separate armies that have their own thing. Within Space Marines, they haven't done that yet, but they have like called detachments, which are like subcategories. So short answer, no, long answer, yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then as the reach of the Imperium expanded, the Emperor used his immeasurable psychic abilities to start searching the warp for his lost sons. The Emperor's Professor X, and he basically just like Cerebros through the warp. That's what you need to know.
Cool.
And he would basically one by one start leading these rescue missions to go and find his lost Primarchs, basically tell them like, hey, you're supposed to, you're my son, you're immortal, and you were birthed and bred to lead an army. So come on back to Terra with me and we're going to go do it. And Image 5 is the propaganda piece of art showing the Emperor of Mankind and his 18 Primarchs.
This is
propaganda
a Brady
as hell.
Bunch ass image.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very silly. It looks like a character select screen in a fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
Can we, for a minute,
Yeah.
talk about the fabulous hair of what looks to be labeled
of
as
9?
maybe 6 V1 down on the bottom right of the
it's
left
like
side?
It's like a side pony. Like an over the top side pony.
Yeah.
I actually don't.
Asymmetrical bangs and a side pony.
That is a
I don't
sassy haircut.
I don't immediately know. Let's see which one that is. 6th Legion.
The one that I noticed is that
that's Space Wolves. That's what's his name? Lehman Russ. Very popular character, Lehman Russ.
Can see why.
Which doesn't mean anything right now to you, but we'll get him later.
20 has two guys in it. There's a guy
20
behind
has
that
two
guy.
guys. Yeah, that's the Alpha Legion. They're twins, I think. But they're, again, not the second least amount of information written about the Alpha Legion.
Good.
They're Alpha something and Omega something. Yeah. But they're like twins, but also the same person. Don't worry about it. So
Cool.
we're not going to get to each one of these Primarchs because obviously they have varying degrees of stories. But some of these stories are really fucking cool. And that's
For
what
a
we're gonna do
one-time
right now.
payment of $60, we will go through all. We will go through all.
We'll
of
talk
these.
about we'll talk about the Alpha Legion. No, this is like when we talk about Warhammer lore, the history of these Primarchs and like their kind of rise to power. I think this is some of my favorite in world building in the lore. So let's start with Horus and his Luna Wolves. Horus Lupercal, you've heard this name before. It's the heresy upon which today's episode is named. So again, you might be reading ahead. Horus Lupercal was found on the mining planet Chthoniya and had already become a proven warrior who grew up among the lights of the tech barbarians of the Chthonian wastes.
Hell yeah.
Image 6 is a fully grown Horus Lupercal.
That's just Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad.
It's Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad. So one thing to know about Horus Lupercal is every book written talking about Horus Lupercal always talks about how handsome he is. Like
Awesome.
There are a lot of dudes in Warhammer. There are a lot of dudes with long hair. There are a lot of muscly dudes. And for some reason, nobody gets more ass than Horus Lupercal.
He does. He
It's
does
that
have
fucking jawline,
Yeah,
brother.
he's got the handsome Squidward jawline.
He's got the handsome Squidward
Yeah.
jawline. So Horus Lupercal also like grew up as this like, born leader, established warrior. Everyone loves him. Basically, like Emperor arrives on the planet and Horus is like, hell yeah, brother, let's go. I've got an awesome jawline. So once they're reunited, Horus and the Emperor immediately establish a bond unlike anyone else, right? Like Horus embodies the Emperor's leadership qualities, the literal halo on his head.
He's his favorite son.
He's his favorite son.
He's daddy's boy.
He's daddy's boy. Horus was the Emperor's number one protege. One of the few whose strength could almost match the Emperor in combat. And soon, Horus was leading battle after battle in the initial days of the Great Crusade. Following an initial victory on the planet Luna, he named his genetic army of Space Marines the Luna Wolves. And they don't have an official model because the name's going to get changed soon. So here's like the prototype of the Luna Wolves. You can see on their pauldrons like a cutout of like a wolf, basically, like boring.
Yeah.
It's like a good roller derby name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is good. And like I said, Horus, natural born leader. Not only was he feared and respected on the battlefield, he was also very charismatic, super empathetic. It was said that he could innately sense like resolve or weakness in others. So he knew how to exploit that weakness and he knew how to bring up that resolve. Now, despite the setting, the grimdark setting of Warhammer, Horus actually was like kind of a unique person, a unique leader in that he often would find peaceful diplomatic solutions to problems, right? Because again, he was the lead colonizer, and oftentimes Horus would negotiate with these human tribes to bring them in the Imperium without, murdering everybody, which is not the same to say with a lot of the Primarchs. Decades passed as Horus expanded the Imperium in his father's name, while more and more of these adult-age Primarchs were brought into the fold. Horus led the Luna Wolves in a decisive victory against the largest orc army, that's ORK. We're not going to talk about the orcs today, but they're just like fantasy orcs, except they're plant people, and they have psychic abilities, but like kind of not.
The one thing I know about orcs in 40K is that, like, if enough of them believe something, it happens.
Yeah, that's true.
So like the one that gets thrown around a lot is that they believe that if red goes fast, so
Yep.
they paint all their spaceships red, and that is how they achieve warp.
And their psychic abilities are so powerful that makes them fast. Actually, makes them faster.
So
That's
good.
correct.
Yeah.
The orcs are great. Everybody loves the orcs. So Horus led the Luna Wolves against this decisive victory versus the orcs on a planet Ulunar Prime. This marked a major turning point in the Imperium's colonization efforts. Following this victory, the Emperor, who at this point had finally recovered all 18 of the lost Primarchs, again, we'll get there, said, you know what? It's time for me to go. I'm leaving you, Horus, in charge. I'm naming you my War Master. And you're going to lead all of the other Legionnaires, Astartes, and finish this crusade. And Image 8 is this like grand Greco-Roman painting of the Emperor of Mankind knighting or coronating Horus as his War Master.
Just to make a comparison, this looks like the Edgar Markov art.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's a man. There's a man with wings.
There's a man with wings. He's kind of an angel. He's got angel wings. That's Sanguinius. We're not going to talk about him too much.
Your angle or your devil.
He can be your ankle, your sanguine, or your devil.
We've gotten so many names followed by we're not going to talk about them today.
There's so many names.
Dude,
Kyle.
it is an assault of proper nouns.
We already said canon is anything and everything.
You don't really have to remember a lot of names. You don't have to remember a name of a single planet. I will try and yada yada the proper nouns the best I can.
Sure.
But please ask questions.
Okay.
So the Emperor also said, hey, why don't you rename your army to the Sons of Horus? Like they're your army. Like, make them a little bit more connected to you. And he declined. He literally didn't want to be too show-offy. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Atypical for a protagonist in something like this.
Right. So now the Emperor gone. And after a while, people started to question. I mean, no one really knew why all of a sudden the Emperor just abandoned the Great Crusade. And no one ever really questioned Horus's leadership, but everyone was just kind of like, what the fuck? Most importantly, Horus, who felt betrayed, felt abandoned for the first time. I mean, like, again, the history of the universe is daddy issues. If you take one thing from today, it's the history of the Warhammer universe is daddy issues. And said daddy issues affected Horus in a very real way. And for the first time, he started to doubt himself. He started to doubt the cause. And to show the tip of his dissent, he all of a sudden did, in fact, change the name of his legion to the Sons of Horus. And that's Image 9. So I'm going to throw in I've got some images of the minis from the Horus Heresy, the 30K game. Just so you can see kind of like some of the minor details between the different factions, because I think they're fun.
Yeah, these are sick.
Yeah.
So, Horus feels betrayed because the Emperor
Left on a secret project and didn't tell anybody why, and it's just gone.
Okay, and he's
Went to get
abandoned.
cigarettes.
And
Went
he's
to get
abandoned
cigarettes.
the crusade.
He went to
Yeah.
get space cigarettes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Cigarettes
Is
and scratchers.
the Emperor is back on Terra. No one can talk to him. No one can see him. He is effectively gone.
Okay.
And that's important. And we're going to pause there. And then I will introduce a few other major players to this campaign. So we're kind of leading up to the events of the betrayal, the heresy itself. So let's focus now on Angron and the World Eaters. So Angron was discovered on Nuceria, which is a planet ruled by a brutally oppressive oligarchy. Ever heard of it? As a means to distract the peasants from their state, Nucerian nobles would run these regular gladiatorial blood sports who would pit cybernetically enhanced fighters against each other for entertainment. It's the gladiator planet. We're on the gladiator planet.
The people love a blood sport.
God,
Yeah.
tell me about it.
We need the tournament
Historically, the people love a blood sport.
So Image 10 is, I think this is official art of Angron.
Yeah, he's chill.
Damn.
Dude's
Yeah.
chill.
Dude's super chill.
I love this.
Yeah, it's
I
super
love
sick.
that he's got dangly skulls
Yep.
and lots of chains.
And
He's
that his
awesome.
hand axe has like a chainsaw.
Yeah.
effect to it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. You might be asking yourself, I wonder who he aligns himself with later. So, as a child, Angron was discovered and taken in by a slaver due to his. And another thing you should know about the Primarchs is they're uncommonly large. Basically, by age 2, they're like fully formed children. By age 7, they're fully formed adults. Like,
Okay, I was gonna say, are all of the characters in this like 8-foot shit
Yeah.
brick houses?
they're
Okay.
shit brick houses. Not everybody. Remember, these are genetically enhanced super soldiers of the genetically enhanced super soldiers.
Okay,
Got it.
Yeah, these are Pokedex entry men.
gotcha. Yeah.
So, because of his uncommon size, he was forced to compete as a gladiator from early adolescence. And Angron in the ring discovered his strength and vitality in combat. He quickly became a crowd favorite. And while he resented being a slave, he did find meaning in the blood pits.
So many people find meaning in the blood pits, Andrew.
he found love in a dangerous place.
If you've lost yourself, try searching in the blood pits.
So Angron befriended and mentored under an older gladiator who became sort of a father figure to him. Of course, until the two of them were pitted together and Angron was forced to kill his mentor.
Tale is all this time.
Tales all the time. Now, Angron refused, but in retaliation, his masters forcibly implanted this archaic cybernetic device called the butcher's nails into his skull. Now,
Holy shit.
yeah. So, image 11. No, those are not dreads. Those are artificially implanted, like tendrils that go from his skull back to his spinal column.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, the purpose of this implant is to basically like force a berserk mode. It basically like wipes your prefrontal cortex so you don't feel any emotion, any guilt, and you just feel the rush of adrenaline in battle.
Like the rope they wrap around a bull's nuts at a rodeo.
It's exactly that.
Honestly, Matt, I think you might be right on this one.
It's not
I
far
know
off.
I'm right.
I have no information to say
I
otherwise.
don't know. I don't know enough about rodeos to argue.
How Midwest America of you, Matt.
So Angron brutally slew his former friend, and then upon coming to from the butcher's nail trance, he realized what he had done, screamed in intense agony. It says he screamed for 3 days straight, and which is pretty metal, and then vowed revenge, obviously, against his oppressors. Now, over the course of several years on this planet, Angron orchestrated a full-scale rebellion among the other gladiators, and he ultimately led his fellow slaves in a complete takeover of not just the encampment, but the entire city. Many oligarchs would continue to send armies into this sieged town, but they were all unsuccessful and would fall to Angron's army he called the Eaters of Cities.
Not thinking
fucking
big
metal.
enough. Not thinking
Yeah.
big enough.
Yeah. So basically, by the time the Emperor had found Angron, he had successfully led this revolt, reclaimed power, and basically had turned the tables on all of these slavers. While many Primarchs at this time were easily swayed by the Emperor, much like Horus, Angron was like, no, I'm good, man. I've got everything I ever wanted here.
We're eating cities over here.
We're eating
Yeah.
cities, baby. He said all he wanted to do was to see himself and his fellow gladiators living a free life. So he said, I'm good. Thanks, but no thanks. Emperor
Hell yeah,
doesn't.
dude.
The Emperor, thing about the Emperor of Mankind, doesn't really like to be told no.
Doesn't take rejection well.
Feels like with the
Not
title
really.
of Emperor of Mankind.
Yeah, it's kind of one way or no way. So the Emperor was like, okay, and started to leave. And then and this is real, he foresaw an attack, basically had a premonition that the town that Angron was in charge of at the time was going to be besieged and they were going to be taken over and Angron would die. And the Emperor said, I can't allow my son to die. And instead of jumping into the fray, the Emperor did the only thing he could think of, which was forcibly teleport Angron out of the city just in time to watch, so Angron could watch all of his friends and loved ones get brutally murdered.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not Not loving that. So Angron
Screamed for 5 days.
Yeah, screamed for 5 days. Angron, pretty pissed, had nowhere else to go and said, I mean, I guess, and went along to lead his new Space Marine army under his father's banner. But he told the Emperor, I planned to die this day, and the only thing that you're going to get is a ghost.
Oh.
Okay.
And that's
What a
rad
bar.
as hell.
Yeah.
I love that line.
I think I posted that on my MySpace once.
When you had like a bad day at school.
Man.
It had a capital and a lowercase x on either side.
Now remember, each of the respective legions share a genetic code with their Primarch. So this new unit that Angron was leading shared his bloodlust and rage, and he named this new unit the World Eaters. In remembrance of his old,
bigger.
Yep, aiming bigger, and that's Image 12. So we got some more minis. This is a custom job. I love when people do like blood spatter and do other like little things they add to minis. It's great. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Mini painting is the best, man. Okay.
These
Next
rule.
we've got Fulgrim. Fulgrim and the Emperor's Children. Fulgrim was discovered on Chemos, a resource-poor planet whose citizens had resorted to round-the-clock mining and mass factory production just to make enough to survive. This is a 1920s Industrial Revolution planet.
Which is kind of like, I think a lot of the settings in Warhammer end up being similar to that, where like you either end up as a soldier or working in the mines, like that's, or dead.
Yes.
Like those are your three options.
Yeah, and in the 40K time period, life is literally one of two things. You are either an all laborer, unending laborer, or a soldier bred for war. Those are the only two options that you can be. Or a zealot, or a religious zealot. So you can be a religious zealot.
Not a terrible third option.
Could be fun.
Could be fun.
Ironically, the same three options we have right now.
Yeah.
That's true. So now again, that's 40K. 30K, things are a little bit different, but not so much on Chemos. So because of this unending grind for survival, things like recreation, art, leisure, not possible. And the people of this planet were born, toiled endlessly, and died. Fulgrim was first taken in by a very wealthy family, and due to his advanced physique, he was taught and trained as a laborer early on. By age 15, he had mastered all of the major trades and had risen in ranks to be among the overseers of the factories. And Image 13 is of Fulgrim. Again, very Greco-Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fulgrim's nickname in the army was the Phoenician. You can see why.
Oh.
Yeah. Definitely big. I'm sitting up here while you all get your hands dirty down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Fulgrim led rediscovery of ancient technologies and abandoned mining sites that actually heavily improved engineering efforts, leading to production skyrocketing overnight. And soon the people of Chemos were able to actually maintain a surplus of food and goods, dialing down that need for labor. So thanks to the efforts of Fulgrim, he actually actually set in motion an industrial revolution. Which is cool. And then this led to an explosion of art and culture because people once again had time. When the Emperor finally came to Chemos, Fulgrim's cultural revolution had been fully realized. And so he was like, cool, I got nothing else to do here. I've created a utopia. Let's move on. So he was taken back to Terra to rejoin his own genetically modified army. Now, when he arrived on Terra to meet his army, Fulgrim was horrified to learn that an accident during the creation of his gene seed basically led to a viral infection that killed the majority of the chapter, leaving about only 200 survivors, which is like a fraction of the original army. Fulgrim named these 200 survivors the Emperor's Children and vowed then and there that his team would go on to exemplify perfection and prove to the galaxy that they were deserving of survival. After leading his troops in victory after victory alongside Horus and his sons, Fulgrim expanded the ranks of the Emperor's Children from that initial 200. Eventually, his interests in beauty and aesthetics kind of evolved to a full-on obsession, and that kind of became his and his army's whole fucking thing. He would eventually lead the Emperor's Children in an assault of the oceanic planet of Leyrin. There, they did a genocide against this snake-like people, and in deep within a sunken temple, Fulgrim found a sword emanating with powerful energy, and you can see him on the battlefield with this sword on image 14.
In a sassy little pose.
In a sassy little pose. Whoops! Turns out that's a demon sword.
Oh, dang it!
Beans! Looks like this entire species were actually devout followers of the chaos god Slanesh. Whoops!
When that happens.
Yeah, god damn it. That may or may not come to bite them in the butts later.
How many times do you have to be told to not pick up the scary sword from the cave of the planet of the people that you slaughtered? Like
now, Todd, are you
taking
into account that you think you're literally the perfect human specimen, and nothing has gone wrong in your life?
Well, Kyle, it'd be different if I picked up the sword, but most people should know better than picking up the sword.
Yeah.
Incredible point.
I would be strong enough to handle the sword, but most people, you just don't pick up the sword.
Image 15 is the Emperor's Children. Most notably, the Emperor's Children, their color scheme is pink and purple, which I love because they're
fun.
Space Marines, and that's fun. Yeah.
I like the kind of like knees together little pose that this one has.
I also like the thought that like, so this guy's kind of a fancy boy. But now he has a demon sword, and I like thinking that all the other like Primarchs roll their eyes when he shows up. They're like, ugh,
stupid, sexy fulcrum.
Utopian society.
Well, the funny thing is, he's that, but he's nowhere near the man with angel wings named Sanguinius, who looks like fucking Alucard from Castlevania.
Yeah.
I like that every melee weapon is also a chainsaw. That's
that's one of the rules.
Fucking rules, dude.
That's one of the rules of Warhammer. Every melee weapon is also a chainsaw. Kyle.
And has a little tassel at the hilt.
Yeah,
tassel or a gem for these guys.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you guys get sucked into Warhammer.
What was that?
Next is Mortarion. Mortarion was discovered on Barbarous, a planet covered in a poisonous fog controlled by warlord necromancers. Cool.
Okay.
These necromancers called themselves the Overlords, and they, like, their whole lives were just preying on the huddled masses of peasant farmers, unfortunate enough to also live on Barbarous.
Bummer.
Yeah. Planet covered in poisonous fog is a real handicap you're starting with.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to deal with.
It's tough. So the infant Primarch was first found and taken in by one of the most powerful of the Overlords. Noticing like, oh, even as an infant, he didn't just die. He can resist this harsh, toxic air, something superhuman genes, yada, yada, yada. So the Overlord named him Mortarion, aka Child of Death in their native tongue. And he taught
how they say, like, if you give a kid a name, that's what they're going to end up like. I think
nominal determination. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a word for it. Yeah, that's what this is.
That's for sure this. So the Overlord, the warlord necromancer, taught Mortarion all of the ways of combat and space magic, as you do. Mortarion constantly grew up questioning the morality of his adopted father and his friends, basically like in the guise of night, taking these like helpless victims and just, doing zombie shit on these poor farmers. And one day he eventually escaped the tower. He lived in this high tower. He escaped and fled to the lower valleys and met just to go and see the people because he had never actually seen another person, and realized like, oh, these are just people. Like, these are people like me. That's super fucked up. And he introduced himself. He joined up with the peasant farmers and taught them how to defend themselves against the necromancers. He himself would lead battles wielding this massive scythe because, again, he's like a farmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
this rules.
Yeah, it's really good. And he led this revolt against the necromancers. So image 16 is of a young Mortarion.
Dad, You know how we do awful death experiments on
Maybe we
randos?
shouldn't do that.
Are we the bad guys?
So Mortarion recruited the toughest soldiers he could find, and enlisted like blacksmiths and other makers to create gear for his army to brave the toxic environment. And he dubbed this new unit the Death Guard. So it was then when the Emperor finally arrived on Barbarous, the Emperor kind of started meeting all of the different people in the villages, and was like, hey, I can get you out of this toxic planet hellhole. Mortarion actually went up to the Emperor, were like, hey man, we're good. Like, we got this. Like, this is our shit. This is our deal. Like, we're good. And the Emperor was like, I will help you if you want. Like, I can help you take down. And Mortarion refused. So the Emperor said, okay, if you're able to kill your adoptive father, the leader of the necromancers, I'll leave here forever. You'll never see me again. If you're not able to, if you're unsuccessful, you have to swear fealty to me and join the Imperium of Man. And Mortarion agrees. So he climbs the tower. He goes to finally face off against his adoptive father. And unfortunately, he succumbs to the high level of toxicity. Toxicity is worse the higher it gets altitude.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Mortarion is there, like on his knees, about to be slain by the necromancer. And all of a sudden, there's the Emperor. He shows up, intervenes, and kills the necromancer there outright. Mortarion then knelt and pledged himself fully to this stranger, and who only then was informed of, hey, this is your actual father, and I'm the Emperor, and you have this army on Terra, so come with me. And he did that.
That took the sting out of it a little bit.
Yeah. So he did that. So Mortarion goes with the Emperor to Terra to lead this new unit. He renamed it the Death Guard, partly because he did end up recruiting a lot of the villagers of Barbarous. Now, Mortarion was grateful, but the overwhelming feelings of like inadequacy, a little bit resentment at the Emperor for like denying him his vengeance against the overlords, this would start to eat away at him. And again, that will be important later. Specifically about the Death Guard, their whole thing is they have like abnormal vitality because, again, share a gene code with Mortarion.
Yeah.
So these guys are these are the front lines on the harshest environment planets. So image 17 is Mortarion as a fully realized Primarch. Mortarion is bald, doesn't have any hair. He looks like a skeleton. Like, he looks like the Grim Reaper. That's his whole kind of aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
A lot of people are afraid of him. And then this is a pretty small image, but just a couple minis of the Death Guard, which they are a pallid brownish green color, as you can imagine.
Nice.
All right. We're going to talk about my personal favorite. I think this is the best one. Magnus the Red and the Thousand Suns. Now, even as an infant, Magnus the Red was a Primarch unlike any other. He was born with the red. He was born with the skin colored a deep crimson.
Oh.
And early on developed a very innate connection with the warp that was completely unmatched, maybe save for the Emperor himself. Magnus inherited the most of the Emperor's psyker abilities. Magnus was first discovered on Prospero, which is a wealthy planet, for whatever reason, themed around ancient Egypt. Sure.
Cool.
Because we need a different theme. And Prospero was settled by powerful human psychers. Great. It was created as sort of a safe haven refuge for people with psychic abilities because psychers at the time were so hated and feared. And under the scholars of Prospero, Magnus showed incredible potential, quickly proved himself to be the most powerful psyker among their ranks. So image 19 is Magnus the Red.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah.
This one's sick.
What a psyker is explained in the last flavor text?
Yes,
Is that an
so
appendix entry I need?
A psyker is someone who uses the abilities of the warp. So remember I said space magic is made possible because of the warp?
Gotcha.
that is somebody who can use space magic as a psyker, because most space magic iterates as psychic abilities.
Gotcha. I'm caught up.
Doesn't typically come without some sort of consequence.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, you fuck with the warp fucks back.
Deep crimson skin.
Equivalent exchange and all that.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, unlike the rest of his Primarch brothers, Magnus actually learned about his birthright and developed a connection with the Emperor long before they ever meet in person. And that's because Magnus early on harnessed the ability to astral projection himself in the warp. Because again, that's how powerful this guy was. He would astral projection meet with the Emperor, who was also astral projectioning as a kid, and they would just talk.
They'd have cerebro conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's
cool.
2 weeks in the summer and then every other holiday.
Yeah. And Magnus is if you're going to keep that, that's actually a good comparison. Magnus is the Jean Grey to the Emperor's Professor X.
Sure.
So Magnus used his crazy psyker powers to drive off roaming hordes of beasts, and through other actions ushered in a period of prosperity for his planet. As leader, he championed all scholarly pursuits and had great pyramids built containing these vast libraries. All the while, Magnus spent much of his time delving deeper and deeper into the secrets of the warp, despite warnings from his teachers about the dangers of it.
Oh, Magnus.
Yeah. So when the Emperor finally made landfall on Prospero, he found himself in a utopia for sorcerers and scholars alike. Magnus and his father finally met face to face and, of course, carried on like old friends. Magnus went with the Emperor to meet his birthright-appointed Legion of Space Marines. And again, same genetic code. His particular Legion of Space Marines were all adepts in psychic abilities. Except there was a problem.
Oh.
So Magus's gene seed used to create this legion was tainted. Magnus arrived to find many of his gene brothers had been plagued by a terrifying and painful mutation that was literally called the flesh change.
Oh no.
Yeah. They were turning into horrifying chaos monsters.
Oh.
Now, by the time Magnus was reunited with them, many of the Space Marines had already died out from mental instability, organ failure, turning into a gibbering mouther. At this point, the entire chapter was about 1,000 strong. And so Magnus named them his 1,000 sons. Feeling responsibility for his genetic brothers, Magnus took to finding a cure for the flesh change mutation. Meanwhile, the 1,000 sons were very powerful, very feared, hated across the other Astartes legions because they were using psychic abilities and people were afraid of that. And they thought that was kind of fucked up. And after years of searching the depths of the warp, Magnus consorted with its mysterious entities and bargained his right eye for a cure for the mutation. And it worked.
Oh.
And there was and everything was fine, and there was no way this dubious bargain would ever come to bite him out.
Solving the problem once and for all.
Yeah, once and for all.
Yep. So in a happily ever after image, we've got image 20 as Magnus red brick shithouse leading his 1,000 sons as their Primarch. He's got this mane of flowing red hair. He's got 2 horns that come out of his head. Dude is awesome.
Yeah. I love it's a subtle detail, but the open mouth skulls as shin guards go so hard.
That is cool.
Yeah. So Magnus and the 1,000 Sons officially joined the Crusade. Things were good for a while, but of course they didn't last because many of the other Primarchs were skeptical and became kind of disgusted by his army of sorcerers. What they would do, instead of just fighting people by normally, they would literally entrance their enemies and take people under their thrall and basically Jedi mind trick people into subjugating for the Imperium.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
People didn't love that.
Not a great Yelp review.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're all doing a crusade, I don't think people can get picky about the behavior.
I mean, I feel like one side of the crusade gets to be picky about the race. Yeah. I feel like the people on your side don't get to be like, well, hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great point. The other thing
I have skulls on my mace. What's he doing?
The other thing that Magnus would regularly do that the rest of the squads hated was Magnus had a heuristic toward saving and archiving knowledge of other civilizations, versus the rest of the Imperium said, no, burn it all. Everything, the only truth is the truth of the Emperor.
Yeah. Yep.
Which,
that sounds like
There's-
yeah.
the Imperium.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is he? Soft?
Yeah, those are that's our boys. So image 21 is of the 1,000 Suns in 30K.
Nice.
Notably, the aesthetic of the 1,000 Suns, they carry through this like Egyptian pharaoh sort of pastiche. Magnus championed the creation of the Librarians, which are a sect of psychers trained across each legion of Space Marine, basically saying, here is a school for psychers that can be applied to every legion of Astartes. A lot of Primarchs didn't like that.
I'm gonna say probably not a fan.
Yeah.
Probably not a fan. And eventually a council was put together to determine the continued use of psychic abilities. After a very long debate, the Emperor made a decision and outlawed all use of psychic abilities, which basically outlawed Magnus and his 1,000 Sons from then on. Magnus said, okay. He went along with the ban, and he took his legion back to Prospero to basically be in exile. So back on Prospero, the flesh change came back in a very real and terrifying way.
But he bargained his eye.
He did bargain his eye.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And more and more 1,000 Sun soldiers started transforming again. And it was then when Magnus continued his search through the warp for answers that he saw a premonition. He saw a vision of War Master Horus being tricked by the entities of chaos, and he reached out. And that's where we're going to pause.
That's what happened. That's what it was.
So we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about one more key character and then get into the main events of the Horus Heresy. Stay with us. And we're back. Okay, so we talked about the major Primarchs. There's one more Primarch who is a key player here that I'll talk about, and then we're going to get into the actual events of the Horus Heresy. So we're going to talk about Lorgar. Lorgar Aurelian is kind of our worm tongue of the story. To this point, we've dealt with people who were like pretty much morally good, morally justified. Lorgar is not. Lorgar is
He's our scheming viceroy.
Yeah, he's our scheming viceroy. So Lorgar was discovered on Colchis, or Colchis, I don't know. It's a feudal planet ruled by way of theocratic doctrine. Ever heard of it? Turns out this particular religion worshipped 4 gods that may or may not be the chaos gods of the warp. Whoops.
Oop.
Oh.
Yeah, so image 22 is Lorgar. See those like sick runes etched in his bald head?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Lorgar rose through the ranks to become a priest of the Covenant, which was the monotheistic religion that ruled this planet, and led thousands of followers through fiery sermons about the one true God of Colchis. Sorry, the Covenant was a polytheistic religion. He wanted to turn into monotheism. You get it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lorgar was telling everybody about the one true God and became known as the bearer of the word, a very religious title.
He had these golden tablets that he found.
And only
Pretty
he could
much.
read them.
Yeah,
Yep.
but then he found some more later.
Yep. And just like Joseph Smith, Lorgar led a revolt against the ruling class and became the head of the theocracy on Colchis. Now, when the Emperor finally arrived on the planet, Lorgar believed he was meeting his God. This was the second coming of Christ. So the thing is, the Emperor had a pretty big aversion to religion. And this is the Emperor's whole thing. The Emperor is a being of an immortal being of immense power. He knows everything about the ancient history of mankind and basically resolved and said, every time humankind has fallen, it's been because of religion. Which, like, okay. Not going to argue.
Yeah, okay.
It's a consistent thread in the downfall of each and every civilization. So he said, my new civilization, the united human race, will be purely secular. No questions. Like, that's it. And so the fact that Lorgar wanted to worship him kind of skeeved him out. Now, you might be thinking that and being like, I thought like religion was kind of the whole point of the Imperium of Man. It is, and that's why this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Lorgar took the helm of his new word bearers, again, named after himself, and defied the emperor to make them an organized religion anyway. He said, fuck it. And he went on to praise the emperor as God Emperor. The word bearers went full-on inquisition on the galaxy and quickly made a name for themselves as religious zealots. And image 23 is Lorgar as the Primarch. Pretty fucking cool.
Rad as hell.
Sick
as hell, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Mason or Morningstar in one hand, ancient
Yep.
text in the other.
Mhm.
That's a cleric, baby.
A Bible strapped to his arm.
That's actually I think that's what they meant by those strong men for Jesus that would read Bibles in Towns High School.
It's so real. I know I'm not the only person that's seen this.
And then image 24 is of one of the word bearers minis, which I also think is pretty fucking rad.
Yeah.
So as their ranks and reputation grew, the emperor resolved to try and stop this zealotry once and for all. And so the emperor ordered Robute Guilliman, who is the leader of the Ultramarines, the blue ones.
The Pikachu of
The Pikachu
Space Marines.
Yes, he ordered Pikachu and Ash to to raise the word bearer's capital city. So this was kind of the first instance of Space Marine on Space Marine violence. First, and this would destroy all of the religious paraphernalia, places of worship, burning the Bibles, and so on and so forth. And Lorgar and the word bearers were just forced to watch as their entire city burned to the ground. So, message received. The emperor is not a god. Got it. Lorgar then searched the warp for answers, and there he found something new to believe in. Our Lord and Savior, Chaos.
Awesome.
And there he made contact with the entities of chaos in an area of the warp that would later be named the Eye of Terror. And Lorgar and the word bearers all pledged themselves to the demons of chaos.
Good.
Sick.
I do
Real-
love so much that the story is, okay, we've got a lot of gods. No, let's have one. Oh, we met our god. And he's like, well, I'm not your god. And I'm going to prove I'm not your god by breaking your shit. And he's like, well, I'm going to find a new god. I'm going to go.
Which is kind of the story of Thor 4, I guess.
Kind of
It
the
is
story.
kind of the story of Thor 4.
Real oversight on the emperor's part to assume that destroying the religious zealot's toys will make him not be a religious zealot instead of make him zealot even harder for something worse.
Yeah, have you kids been reading naughty magazines? I'm going to tear them up. Don't go looking for more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna plus and that. What's the save for Fulgrim? What's the one through line for each one of these Primarch stories?
Horrible tragedy.
The Emperor wronged them in some way.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They feel wronged by the Emperor.
Oh, okay.
And so hold on to that. So we're going to jump into the events of the actual events of the Horus Heresy. And our story begins with the Emperor leaving the Crusade to go back to Terra and appointing Horus Lupercal as leader and war master. Remember old sexy Horus.
Yeah, that's what they call him.
Bald, sexy jawline Horus. Now, I mentioned this before, but I'll reiterate. The Emperor told nobody, not even Horus, why he was leaving or what he was doing. The only thing that they knew is that he was working on a secret project, getting space cigarettes, and that would require his complete and undivided attention. Now, I will tell you guys, come to find out later, that new secret project was the Emperor's attempts to rebuild the Webway. I will explain. The Webway was effectively a series of highways that the ancient Eldari built across the warp that allowed for safe travel.
Series of tubes.
Series of tubes. I say safe because the only way humans can travel across the warp is to enlist the powers of a navigator to use their psychic powers to weave through the soup of bad juju and bad feelings.
They need the spice.
And they
need the spice.
They need the spice. And just hope and pray that they don't accidentally spawn a portal to hell from which demons spill out. So you can imagine that a webway, pretty nice. So anyway, Horus and his Sons of Horus Legion were called to the planet Davin to investigate and put down a rebellion. There, the Legion was horrified to find reanimated corpses of humans and space marines whose bodies were taken over by the forces of chaos. These are like mangled bodies that have like body horror left and right. Reanimated zombies, zombification, the whole nine.
Some real Event Horizon stuff.
Some real Event Horizon. Based on the events of Event Horizon. Horus and his team successfully took down the rebels, but Horus was mortally wounded by a demonic blade wielded by the rebellion leader. We later learned that that blade was imbued with the actual power of the plague god Nurgle.
Whoop.
So,
what have we said about spooky swords?
yeah. So Horus got stabbed by a poop sword.
Aw, beans.
he's taken 5 poop damage a second.
Yeah. And now he's in a bad way. So the Sons of Horus take him back to their flagship, and they find themselves fresh out of options. Despite Horus's superhuman vitality, he's on death's door, and there's no cure. So the Sons' top brass resorted to handing Horus over to a band of sketchy cultists.
They're gonna,
you know how you do.
They're gonna like
What do we
blood.
do?
They're gonna do bloodletting. Like they're
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much. So the cultists took the dying Horus and perform a ritual to cleanse him of the toxin poisoning his body. Just kidding.
Oh,
Nope. The cultists were not only sketchy cultists, but devout worshippers of chaos. And do you want to guess who was behind this whole thing?
is it the forces of chaos?
Lorgar.
Yeah.
Close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
yeah.
Lorgar.
yeah.
You're there fighting, but reanimated corpses
Yeah.
taken over by the forces of chaos. Why would you not check that the cult that you're handing your dying leader over to are not also
Yeah.
Yeah.
worshiping
we-
the
We were
forces
killing all these.
of
We
chaos?
were killing all these reanimated bodies, and we just conveniently asked the cult standing around.
Yeah, I mean, they said they weren't. I don't
They
know.
seemed cool.
They seemed pretty nice. So, yeah, so instead of purging the toxin or doing the bloodletting, the cultists put Horus in a fever dream state where he would come face to face with the demonic presence of chaos. And of course, Lorgar and the Word Bearers engineering all of this behind the scenes. So while in this demonic fever dream, Horus's own anxieties and ambitions were fed by first seeing the downfall of the Imperium and then following visions of him leading humanity on the Emperor's golden throne. Because it's simple. All you need to do is kill the Emperor. He's betrayed you and the rest of the humanity anyway.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
What could possibly
True.
go wrong?
Lorgar, the serpent as he is, had infiltrated this warp dream, masquerading as one of his fallen lieutenants. So literally doing an Iago.
He incepted him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He incepted him. And he's coaxing him along this whole time. However, Lorgar didn't anticipate a third outside presence, Magnus the Red.
With the steel chair.
With the steel chair. So remember, Magnus was back on Prospero. He was searching for more answers on how to cure the Thousand Sons. All of a sudden, Magnus sees this happening, sees a vision of Horus being betrayed, or Horus betraying and being kind of coaxed by the people, or the entities of chaos. And Magnus forces himself into this like warp dream and appears to Horus as a wolf. And is basically like, bark, bark, don't do it. More or less. So to set the scene, you have this like actual predicament of Horus. hearing these like demonic voices and having a literal angel and devil on his shoulder. Yeah.
Cool.
Which, to be clear, the angel is a wolf.
Is a wolf.
Yeah.
That gave up its eye to chaos to try and save its friends.
Yeah.
Its children.
Get it. You're following.
Yeah. Sure.
At any point in this, does Horus like think like, am I having a fever dream? Is that what is that? Or is he just like, this is all normal? Thank you, talking wolf.
I think I think this is a lucid dream. He's aware he's not in a physical space, but unfortunately, by the time Magnus gets to him, the influence of it's the combination of his own feelings of inadequacy, betrayal, his like ambitions, and then the slow physical manifestation of chaos from that blade. Horus is already done. He's already realigned. He's already become Darth Vader at this point.
Sure.
And he wakes up from this trance with like leveled up, brand new, HP maxed, new vitality and fervor, and he sets off to enact his rebellion against the Emperor.
He's Magnus the White, not Magnus the Gray anymore.
He's
or
Horus the White. Yeah.
Horus the White, not Horus the Gray.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
So Magnus, fearing that, like, kind of seeing all this happen, was like, "Oh shit," and panicked. And he attempted to contact the Emperor through the warp. Remember, the Emperor is like, "I'm getting space cigarettes. No one talk to me. Like, my office door is closed. Do not come in."
Yeah, he's got a new secret family, bro. We know.
He might. And Magnus was like, he's not powerful enough to stop me. Like, I'm the most powerful psyker. Like, I deserve an audience with the Emperor. And basically, like, broke through several layers of psychic barriers just to get to the Emperor. And basically, like, it's described as Magnus appears in the Golden Throne as like this image of just like this fiery red demon, because he's got red skin. And because he'd broken through so many layers of psychic barriers, his like astral projection was all fucked up. And basically what the Emperor saw was this like flaming red demon with wings, because Magnus also has wings at this point.
Sure.
Don't worry about it.
Why wouldn't he?
I mean, whatever. Who cares? This is an anime. And the Emperor is like, "Get the fuck out of here." Like, he thinks that, like, he knows it's Magnus, but he thinks Magnus has already succumbed to chaos.
My maps.
And basically what he had done is Magnus had completely unwittingly destroyed this Webway project. So, like, Webway gone, not happening.
Oh man.
So
the .com boom.
Yeah. The Emperor was furious and, in retaliation, ordered a group of space wolves and his own royal guard, the Adeptus Custodes. That's the Henry Cavill one.
Got it.
He ordered this sect of both armies to go and siege the entire planet of Prospero in retaliation.
Oh shit, we're just blowing it up.
We're just blowing it up.
We just can't have that.
Yep. So back in Horus, meanwhile, the first step of his rebellion was to find other Astartes legions that he could convert to his side. Lorgar and the Word Bearers were an obvious choice because, the evil stuff.
Lorgar,
yeah,
because Lorgar machinated all of this.
Lorgar was like, Horus is like, "Hey, Lorgar, you want to do like a revolution? Yeah, man, that's fine. Yeah, dude, it's so cool.
Let me grab my bag."
Yeah, they predated a hand shook, and that was all it took. Horus then recruited Mortarion and the Death Guard, along with Angron and the World Eaters. Both of these Primarchs who, one, had developed a close bond with Horus over the years, and two, had an axe to grind against the Emperor.
Yeah, dude, I would not really make a point to piss off the World Eaters. That feels it's like pretty low on the list.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. Why? There's a lot of names here that are like not to be fucked with kind of gang names, like the Death Guard and the World Eaters.
Well, but the Emperor, above all, they were all under him. Like, he was the Death Eater, the World Eateriest of them.
Yeah.
Am I not World Eatery enough for the World Eatery Club?
Incredible.
So
Finally,
stupid.
it's really good. It's stupid. Finally, there was Fulgrim and his Emperor's children. Now, he didn't really resent the Emperor, but had that nasty spat with a demonic blade. And, by this time, he had been deeply corrupted by chaos. So
He's just been hanging out in a room talking to a sword.
Yeah. He went full Arthas from Warcraft. Is that for anybody here?
I don't think it's for
No,
anyone
I don't
here.
think that's for anyone here. Cool. So, with the 5 legions joining arms, their leaders set about to formally start their rebellion. Now, as War Master, Horus ordered the largest legions, like the Ultramarines and the Space Wolves. These are the biggest, most popular, most powerful ones. He sent them on far flung out missions to fight aliens, basically separating him from his biggest opponents. These are the most obvious loyalist factions. Angron, Mortarion, and Fulgrim all identified those within their ranks who they thought they concluded as loyalists, loyalists to the Emperor rather than loyalists to themselves. And so they each sent squad of these identified loyalists to a false flag operation on the surface of Istvan III. So the idea is, once the loyalists would be isolated on the planet, the combined traitor legions would then bombard the surface with several virus bombs with the intent of immediately killing any future detractors outright and leaving no survivors. The traitors would then plan on burying the mass murder under the guise of, we were taking out a rebel base, and had some casualties.
Classic false flag.
Classic false flag. The cleanse was not as clean as they'd hoped, unfortunately. One of Fulgrim's loyalist captains sent to the surface found out about the plot and organized a lot of the other loyalists to hide underground to avoid the initial impact of the bombs. So upon discovering there were survivors, the traitors were forced to orbital bomb the planet a second time.
Oh, beans.
Which effectively blew their cover. This was them forcibly declaring war against the Emperor. Now, many of the surviving loyalists were ultimately annihilated, save for a single ship that escaped and headed straight for Terra to warn headquarters of the betrayal. And this marked the point of no return for Horus and his rebellion.
All right.
I love that they bombed a planet.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, dang, we didn't get him. Hit him again.
Double tap.
Yeah. So with their betrayal now known, Horus and his new army of traitor legions set up a base on the nearby Istvan V. And there they prepared for the full retaliation, full on with the intent to begin thinning the loyalist ranks. This was like, okay, come and get us. And basically legion by legion, they were going to start thinning out the opponents. Soon enough, the smallest 3 loyalist legions, you've got the Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and the Salamanders. You don't need to remember them ever again. These 3 arrived on Istvan V to confront and pacify the traitors.
Do we not need to remember them because they immediately die when they show up on Istvan V?
They're just 3 other loyalist legions that are remarkably unremarkable.
Sure.
I mean, 2 of them are the closest to like a Hogwarts house that we've had so far. So, yeah.
Fair point.
True. Salamanders are the fire ones. That's
Yep.
their whole thing.
Sure.
Iron Hands are just like boring Space Marines, and the Raven Guard are like edgelords. Cool. Yeah. And so the Loyalists attempted to take down the traitor's base and were nearly successful until the traitor Primarchs joined the fray. In particular, you've got Fulgrim, the one with the long hair and the demon sword, leading the charge, fresh with some sketchy implants of questionable origin. So Fulgrim fights against his Primarch brother and former friend, Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands. Ferrus Manus, I believe, is the one with the long orange hair that you guys remarked about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
He murders him then and there. So he's dead. Done. Whoops. The Loyalist troops retreated and regrouped and were like, okay, don't worry, we got more people coming. This isn't over yet. And soon enough, 3 more Astartes legions arrive, and they were relieved to get the reinforcements. So enter the Alpha Legion, the Night Lords, and the Iron Warriors. And at this point, the Loyalists are like, all right, go get them.
Bad
idea. And then they all turn their guns on them because, turns out the Alpha Legion and the Night Lords and the Iron Warriors had already also become traitors.
Oh, dang it.
Aw, beans.
Yeah, so what was thought to be a reinforcement ended up being a bloodbath. And that was the massacre on Isfahan 5.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, all the way back on Prospero, Magnus is saying, "Oh, dang, I fucked up." He realizes that his hubris led him to effectively destroying his people's only chance at embracing warp travel and cost him whatever power he could have had with the Emperor. And this is when the truth became clear to him. Remember that bargain that he made for his right eye? Yeah, it turns out that was the demon, the chaos demon Tzeentch. Oops. And he realized this whole time he had just been manipulated. He has been living his life thinking he's the smartest of the smarties and realized that everything has been orchestrated by this chaos god.
Yeah, and he got
He's
played.
been Tzeentching the whole
Now,
time.
has he been twisted into a chaos monster yet? Is that
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I say yet because, like, I'm making an educated guess. But
Yeah.
We've all seen zombie movies.
yeah.
Yeah, we've all seen zombie movies.
So at this point, Magnus knows two things. He knows each of these events have been orchestrated by Tzeentch, and he has got a legion of space marines coming to Prospero to massacre his people. He says, well, this is what Tzeentch wants. Tzeentch wants a civil war. I'm not going to give it to him. And instead, what he does is he builds this psychic barrier across all over Prospero, basically preventing any comms from coming in and out. So his psychic adept units won't be able to know people are coming. He tells all the civilians to flee, and he basically sits in his tower and he does nothing.
Good.
And
Good plan.
good plan. And the Space Wolves arrive, the Custodies arrive, and as expected, start setting fire to the city. And eventually, the troops, the people, they cry out. Magnus continues to ignore them. But soon after, he just can't. He can't watch his people die. And so he emerges on the scene like a red angel of death and counters the opposition with his powerful warp sorcery. So Magnus fights in this epic battle against the Primarch of the Space Wolves, Leman Russ. Leman Russ is another big character among the Loyalists. Russ has him pinned to the ground, is about to strike him down with his massive sword. And at that point, Magnus recites an eldritch incantation and finally communes with Tzeentch himself. Magnus shatters his physical form and basically, through the power of Tzeentch, scatters his own physical body across the warp.
Oh.
Cool.
Pretty cool. So, following the massacre on Isfahan 5, Horus leads the 8 traitor legions in a steady campaign to wipe out the loyalist legions and close in on Terra and on the Emperor. This is where most of the fights, quote unquote, in the tabletop game take place. This is Horus and the traitor legions fighting the loyalist factions.
Okay.
So we're going to yada yada. There's a lot of battles. Who really cares? We're going to yada yada to pretty much the Siege of Terra, the end of the Horus Heresy. But before we get that, I want to kind of point out the subtle and constant change among the other Chaos Marine factions. So throughout the war, the traitor legions start to succumb more and more to chaos. Many of their ranks begin manifesting the physical traits of their different sect of chaos. So I want to highlight my 3 favorite, which are the 3 that we've been following. So going back to the image library, I want to focus on images 25, 26, and 27. So this is the change, the massive change of the Emperor's Children. The Emperor's Children reflect the god Slanesh, which is the god of excess and pleasure. So image 25 is the official art of the 10,000 years later, the 40K version of Emperor's Children, which are these, again, like, it's hard to see in this small image, but going down, you see a Marine playing an electric guitar.
I sure do see a Marine playing an electric guitar.
Remember how I said Warhammer has a history of being very silly?
Yes.
So I want you guys to look up Noise Marine 40K.
You got it.
You should see there's some old dumpy, like real goofy looking images of like literally a Marine playing a guitar.
I've seen these before.
Oh, dude, I love these guys.
Those are the Noise Marines. So the Emperor's Children's whole thing is they have the power of like, they're like bats. So the Emperor's Children can emit this like supersonic wave that basically like disables all of their opponents. It's really cool.
I love the Noise Marines.
Yeah, it's great.
Man.
And then image 27. So each of the Primarchs then start to become their demonic versions of themselves. So by 40K, 10,000 years later, these Primarchs are fully realized demonic princes. And 27 is Fulgrim, the demonic prince of Slaanesh.
So this makes a lot of sense because when we did this, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I had pictures that I was trying to align with the different chaos gods. And I was like, I don't think this is the actual chaos god. This is
correct.
an avatar of them. And these are some of those images. So that answers a question that I've had for 2.5 years.
Yeah. So there are avatars of the chaos demons, and then there are the demon Primarchs. So those are different. So this didn't exist when we did this episode. The Emperor's
okay, so things like this then would have.
Yeah.
Okay, so I must have had demon Primarchs.
Yeah, the Emperor's Children is actually a new faction that came out as of this recording in late 2025.
That's so fun.
Cool.
Yeah, previously the Emperor's Children were just a color scheme among the Chaos Marines, and they got support and they became their own thing. So Kyle asked earlier, are these all different factions? Some of them are. And these next 3 are their own factions. They are aligned with the Chaos Marines, but they are their own faction. So yeah, Fulgrim. So each of these also has a demon Primarch, and they all look sick as hell.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, so next we've got the World Eaters, and these guys reflect the rage and the fury of Khorne, and Angron became Khorne's demonic prince. So in image 28, we've got promotional art of the World Eaters in 40K. So again, 10,000 years later. 29, we've got another promotional image of the World Eaters on a throne of skulls.
Yeah, sure, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. And then image 30 is, I think this is the one that you were talking about, Todd. This is Angron, the demonic prince of Khorne.
Mm-hmm. So this first image, they've hit the point of spiky, where if you zoom out, it looks kind of fuzzy.
Yeah.
And I think that's fun.
Yeah. That is good.
It's whole lot of spikes.
A lot of spikes. So that's the fully realized World Eaters. And then finally, we've got the fully realized Death Guard, embracing the death and decay of Nurgle. And they just get real gross. The most body horror, not the only body horror, but the most body horror is coming from the old Death Guard. So image 31 is promotional art of the Death Guard from 40K. It's a little hard to make out, so I zoomed in on image 32. So that's the thing about like Chaos Marines. Their Space Marine armor is all like part of their body.
It's been like made living part of them. Made
living is like melded to their skin. Like they are not humans anymore, right? So for the plague bearers of the Death Guard, they all have big open maw tummies.
Yeah.
There's I think the image that Todd shared us, Nurgle, is like the great unclean one, which is like the big monster unit in the Death Guard. That's like the closest thing Nurgle has to an avatar. Again, Death Guard being the oldest of the like Chaos Marine sub factions because they're really fucking cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and then we're gonna touch on one more in a bit, but let's get into the Siege of Terra. So, after pledging himself to Tzeentch, Magnus the Red finds himself and the remaining 1,000 sons now being transported to the Eye of Terror. This is, again, kind of the eye of the storm of the warp, and this will become the new de facto headquarters for all of the Chaos Marines.
Cool.
It's there that Magnus agrees to join Horus as the 9th and final of the traitor legions. And together, they plot their final assault on Terra. So with Magnus in tow, Horus now has someone who can actually deal with and maybe even match the psychic power of the Emperor and his psychic guards. And Magnus provides the skill and the know-how to deactivate the remaining psychic barriers surrounding Terra. And so they make their move. Now, at this point, the Ultramarines are still in deep space, and all the other Loyalist units are kind of devastated by war at this point. So Horus leads the remaining traitor units on an all-out charge to the Imperial Palace on Terra. And by the time all 9 traitor legions entered Sol System space, only 3 Loyalist legions are able to catch up and attempt to slow them down. So following a 30-day battle in space above Terra airspace, the traitors land outside the Imperial Palace. The legions of traitors send hordes of demons parading and killing throughout the capital. Again, this is no longer Space Marine on Space Marine. This is an all-out like demonic bloodbath.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Among them were Magnus and his 1,000 sons. Magnus at this point is still questioning his loyalty to the Emperor. And he actually, like, on the way to Terra, meets with the Emperor in astral projection one last time and like attempts to I'm sorry, like I didn't mean for this to happen. And the Emperor says, it's okay. You still have time. Like, it's not too late. He said, unfortunately, it's too late for the 1,000 sons. And if you're going to reclaim your throne, you'll have to kill them.
Which is gonna go over great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, as you can imagine, Magnus has bartered too much to save the 1,000 sons at this point, and so he fully realizes his own change into chaos and becomes a demonic prince himself. So we didn't. Image 33 is, I didn't say out loud, that's Mortarian's demonic prince form. He's the demonic prince of Nurgle. And then image 44 is Magnus the Red as his fully realized demonic prince form, representing Tzeentch and the powers of change and, what is it? Change in fate.
Yeah.
Fate.
Yeah.
And then
awesome.
it's pretty sick. Image 35 is just fun promotional art because I love the 1,000 Sons. So this is promotional art of Magnus just looking like an actual Greek god.
Yeah.
Kind of like leading his 1,000 Sons Rubik soldiers on the battlefield. And this is 40K. So by 40K, the 1,000 Sons aesthetic is like they're in full blue and gold, that kind of carrying through that like Egyptian theme, but they're all blue instead of red because time has passed, I guess.
I like Magnus's like nipple horns in this one.
He does have nipple horns. Yeah.
Nipple horns.
Oh, the other thing about the 1,000 Sons is once Magnus fully pledges himself to Tzeentch, the flesh change obviously like goes out of control. And the thing about the 1,000 Sons now, they're basically like Alphonse Elric in Full Metal Alchemist, in that they don't have bodies. They are fully sentient like automatons in those rubric outfits.
Oh,
so they're like animated armor basically.
cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
This shit's so cool, you guys. So, all right, we've got the thrilling climax. The Emperor, along with his personal guard and Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels, collectively teleport to Horus's ship to face off once and for all. Now, at this point, because of the Webway project, the Emperor was like jacked into the warp via the Golden Throne. The Golden Throne is his Cerebro, basically. So leaving the throne was a big deal because he had already used a lot of his psychic power, like keeping the barrier up, yada, yada, yada. All right, so let's quickly focus on Sanguinius. That's the angelic angel wings guy. Sanguinius was kind of leading the Emperor's guard. He was able to fight off a demonic Angron, a horde of other demons, but still was no match for Horus. And by the time the Emperor arrived on Horus's ship, Sanguinian lay dead at his feet. And image 36 is another Greco-Roman painting of the Emperor of Mankind approaching the fully demonic Horus Lupercal.
Oh, yeah,
dude.
with the
That's
eyes.
sick.
Yeah.
It strikes me as like the first picture that we saw that we talked about how it was like a Roman painting.
Yeah.
Is like the first layer of the ceiling on Thor 3, and then they crack it, and this is underneath it. Like this is the real truth.
Yeah, kinda. That's a good comparison. So Horus and the Emperor fight each other in a spectacular battle of strength and space magic, both trading blows within an inch of their lives. Horus is at this point fully embraced the ruinous powers, capital R, capital P, and he rips off the Emperor's right arm and he literally picks him up and breaks his back Bane style.
Oh,
Damn.
Yeah. Because nothing is truly original anymore.
no.
Now, realizing there was nothing left of his favorite son, the Emperor resolved that he must actually destroy Horus. And so he musters all of his remaining psychic power and focuses a psychic blast of warp energy at Horus and completely obliterates his body. Like, he literally unmakes Horus with psychic energy.
Awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. He, to the point that he enters the warp and like deletes every pixel of Horus's soul.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Ensuring that Horus, there is absolutely no way Horus will ever be remade in any capacity by the forces of chaos.
All right.
And yeah, pretty metal. And that's it. The Emperor was victorious and fought back Horus and the rebels. He was taken back to the Golden Throne, placed back in his makeshift Cerebro, badly wounded. Now, after Horus's defeat, the forces of chaos were eventually pushed back, and the Chaos Marines and the demons retreated back into their new home, the Eye of Terror, which would be their nest of chaos within the warp for the next 10,000 years. Here we are, 10,000 years later in M41. The Imperium of Man has stagnated without the direct guidance and leadership of the Emperor. He continues to exist in this vegetative state, stuck in between realities on his golden throne, and is kept barely alive by a revolving door of psychers siphoning off their own life energy to him, while dignitaries surround him arguing who allegedly gave them orders via psychic command.
Oh, good.
And this image of 37, we're coming back full circle. This is the image Todd shared of the skeleton, image 37, the skeletal figure, the skeletal corpse of the Emperor, the God Emperor of Man in the 40K universe.
This art is so sick.
Yeah.
There is a genre of like tattoo art that I think most people who are into tattoos would categorize or call evil shit. And this fits firmly into the evil shit category, and I love it.
Yeah. And that's where we are. It's the 41st millennium. The Space Marines live in constant fear and acknowledgement of the threats of chaos, and they routinely find themselves in battle against these same chaos-tainted traitor legions again and again without end.
I think that's one of the first big bosses when you play Rogue Trader. That like at some
Yes,
point there's
Chaos
a
Marine.
massive Chaos Marine, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
what
that's right. Yeah.
You're just kind of, your character is just kind of a dude, and then
Yeah, you are just a man.
and you've got a team, like you've got a psyker on your team and a tech priest, but like suddenly it's like, and here's a 40-foot tall man in front of
Yeah.
you.
But I mean, but notably, like, you don't have any Space Marines. Like, that's a different whole thing. So that's it. That's the Horus Heresy. Obviously, like, just a blip on the radar of Warhammer lore. But this is considered, this is the most popular. This is the, like, if you're gonna get into lore, start here, right? Like, it's the reading Spider-Man #1 of Warhammer, basically. So yeah, what do you guys think? What questions do you have?
I think this is cool. Like, this is, I mean, I think I probably came in with the second greatest amount of knowledge of Warhammer and didn't know. I knew some of the names of these factions, but I do really, really like the story of like the Emperor's 18 favorite sons and like what came of that. Like, that's really neat storytelling. And especially knowing that this kind of came after Warhammer had already been up and going, that this is like how they've built out flavor on the back end.
I think so the Primarchs definitely are, if you're gonna it hits that like superhero pastiche or that superhero heuristic, right? Or it's like the planeswalkers of Magic, right? Like these have become the characters, the capital C characters that people know and love,
Yeah, and I think that's cool. I like.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, big sprawling lore. You want to follow some proper nouns. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Everything that Todd said. Warhammer continues to be awesome and inaccessible to me.
Yeah.
And so I like it when
Fair.
my friends tell me about it.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
That's what we're doing here, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna echo Matt and say like, this is very cool. This is for fear of my own falling to my own chaos god.
Yes.
This is the most I will let myself interact with it at this point in my life.
Yeah. We'll get you there. So I want to share. I'll put these in the notes, but I've got some YouTube channels. Look, I've consumed a lot of Warhammer content in the last couple of years, and I wanted to just shout out a couple of my favorite channels. So we've got, as far as lore is concerned, Luetin Luetin 09 does the like kind of what do you call it? What's Vadi style, like Dark Souls type of content, where very like episodic video, like 40-50 minute videos about particular topics. I've learned a lot about lore on their channel. Arbiter Ian does specifically Horus Heresy content, so I got a lot of the Horus Heresy stuff from there, and then he does a lot of like the actual game Horus Heresy. Lorekeeper's Librarian is one of my personal favorites. They do a series called Warhammer 40k Lore to Sleep To, which I have.
I love that.
I have fallen asleep to the story of the Death Guard on 3 different airplane flights.
Nice.
Sick, man.
Midwinter Minis and Squidmard Miniatures are 2 of my favorite mini painting channels. They do a lot of tutorials and just like cool videos. There's a lot of YouTube shorts of just like cool miniature painting. Play on Tabletop is the channel that does 40k in 40 minutes that Todd mentioned. They're very good. They do a lot of gameplay in like the way the Command Zone does for the Magic people. It's very like, recorded like it's a sporting event. There's a lot of commentary to tell you what things that are going on. And then finally, Auspex Tactics. He does really in-depth info and strategies on army building. So that was where I got a lot of information when I wanted to build my Eldar army. What do I pick? How many points do I do? So on and so forth. But yeah, that's what I got. My scratchy throat is telling me that must be it. So thanks for listening to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on all the social media and on our website at debatethiscast.com. And if you want to commission your own flavor text, head on over to patreon.com/debatethiscast. A one-time payment of $60 will allow you to dictate whatever crazy, stupid, goofy content we talk about next. Until next time, I'm Andrew Henderson.
I'm Kyle. Father Magnus had 1,000 sons. 1,000 sons had Father Magnus.
That's a good one.
Harper.
Really good.
I'm Todd. There's some Horus in this house. Thomas.
And I'm Matt. Self-publish a short booklet about change and fate. Call that a zinch. Cole.
Awesome.
God damn it. And we're saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.